All right, guys, welcome everyone to the EOCF weekly Thursday night educational class. As you're going to see, we're going to be bringing up a chart, and tonight's topic is on prepping, but prepping for the unexpected. What is unexpected? Everybody on this call could say something different. We've had multiple job losses. Has anyone else experienced job losses? An extended sickness? Yep, everything. So it would cover the whole gamut. So we just want to give a general overview for some ideas, some thoughts that hopefully will lead to discussion for prepping for the unexpected. Okay, our next slide is our obligatory disclaimer. All right. So information shared during this class is for educational informational purposes always. You are encouraged to take whatever you might hear, and you are to encourage to make your own decisions based on your own research and in partnership with your healthcare provider. No statements have been evaluated by the FDA, and they are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Okay, so let's get into it. What is prepping? Okay, prepping is simply a lifestyle of having backups. Okay, do I have a backup on this call tonight? Yes, their names are Jennifer and Beth. Okay, it just gives you a level of comfort, and okay, if something goes up, there's more than one brain to figure it out. Okay, prepping is just an action plan for the unexpected. Okay, has anyone ever had a little fender bender and then found out your car is going to be out of commission for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks? Yep. Okay, so it's what would I do in those circumstances? And the more that we can think about ahead of time and maybe put a plan into action, it will just give us a level of peace. Is prepping in alignment with Christian scriptures? For most of us, maybe not everybody, that is the foundation of what I look at. So let's go to the next slide and let's talk about that. Here are 3 of my favorites. Are there more? Yes. But what about a prepping lifestyle? Okay. Proverbs 6:6-8. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Something I pray for daily, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler provides supplies in the summer and gathers. You can see I just read that I have a typo there. Gathers her food in the harvest. Proverbs 22:3. A prudent man perceives evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And I want to say the reason I chose that is sometimes when you're prepping, you just are like, okay, I don't need to leave the house today because I don't have to go to the grocery store like everybody else. In Hebrews 11:7, the first part says, by faith, Noah, being divinely warned of things not seen, moved with godly fear and prepared an ark for the saving of his household. Okay, so as we look at those scriptures, were there any preppers in the Bible? So let's go to the next slide. Okay, God directed, either indirectly or by dreams, told his servants what to happen, and they were obedient. So I look at it this way. Who was the first prepper? Noah. Aren't you glad that God hasn't spoken to any of us to do this? He was told to stockpile everything in order to repopulate the entire earth. Okay. Who might be the second prepper? Joseph in Genesis 41. He was told to prepare for a 7-year famine. Moses in Exodus 12. He was told, keep their belts on, sandals on their feet, staff in hand, and be ready to evacuate, leave Egypt. So I share these scriptures and some preppers from the Bible because everything we do in prepping should be established by prayer, asking our Heavenly Father what He's asking us to do, and then be obedient to do it. If I were to ask everyone on this call or anyone who's watching this video, what are they doing? Every one of us would have a different list. So that's why I said tonight is preparing for the unexpected, but there would be some similarities, but everybody is different. Their family dynamic. Next slide is going to tell us what prepping is not. Prepping is not what you see on TV or on shows, movies. Prepping is not planning for the end of the world. Prepping is not hoarding. And prepping is not motivated by fear. Okay, so let's talk about some beginning steps. When you look, next slide. So when you look at your beginning steps, we have to build a foundation. As long as you're building a foundation, so everything else will stay strong. And where we started was having some type of a financial bedrock. That could be enough gas to you to get to a loved one's home. If there was something, a situation in your area, that financial bedrock will be different for everybody. I will tell you, our first amount of money we set aside was $30. Okay. Our goal was to get to 100. We didn't have $100, but we started wherever we were at. Okay. For most people, wherever you live, your home, your apartment, your townhome, that's going to be the safest place that you're going to be. So as you're looking at a beginning step of a foundation, look at food and water. If I didn't have to leave home, could I do that? What does that look like? Okay. You're going to need more water if it's summertime than if it's wintertime. Okay. And we can get into specifics with questions, but that's just a good rule of thumb. Most people probably don't have 7 days of food and water in their home only because we don't really talk about it, right? Our grid stays up, we get water, we do that. Just a good place to stop. This is probably my biggest downfall when we started prepping. Use what you have. Practice what you have. So I want to give an example that really shows you how seriously bad I was at that. Has anybody ever heard of an Instapot? Okay. I've never used it. Like seriously, right? So because my friends bought one, I was like, oh, I should have it. What good did it do for me if I buy something and I'm not going to use it? So I'm not talking about going out and spending lots of money. Do you have an Instapot in your home? Maybe pull it out, read the directions and figure it out. And you're talking to Jean. He needs to do that, right? Whatever you have, look and see how you can use or expand that. Next slide. Okay. Now, at the end of this presentation, we're going to put 2 files for handouts. This is one of the handouts, and I actually have it right here. Okay. But every person who watches this has unique, specific needs for your family's dynamic. It doesn't matter if we're single, it doesn't matter if we've got 20 kids, our circumstances are unique. Okay. So here's some questions. And the second handout that you're going to get has this box on it. Okay. It's supposed to look like a box, but it's a square. And what it says at the top, guys, is think outside the box. We're all going to have circumstances and we're like, I don't know what to do. Right. Yep. I want to say to you, we have a son who lives 2 days of long driving away from us. So we've had to look unconventionally. How would we get to him if we needed to? Okay. So I wanted to say, I want you to use these handouts with questions to kind of write down what are some issues. Let's brainstorm. Let's figure out how we can figure out together. We are family to solve those. So here's some good questions that I had never thought about when Dale and I were first starting prepping. How far are you from a hospital or urgent care? We live more rural than we used to be. How long would it take you to get there in traffic? Are you close enough for an ambulance? Would you drive? What if you're crying and upset? Last September, I was when Dale passed out on me at a gas station, and I called an ambulance. They wanted to make sure I was okay to drive. It was just the shock of seeing him, okay? Because I had never experienced it. This is a question I'm still working on, guys. Do you have a grab and go emergency bag? If you've got to go with a loved one to the hospital, do you have current meds? What if you're there overnight? What if you need your meds? Oftentimes when we go to a hospital or an urgent care, we may be waiting in that waiting room a lot longer than we expected. What if you don't know how long you're there? I wanted to say some people I've shared, we started putting a little hospital bag together. I was like, Dale, I need to, get a bag. And he looked at me and he goes, do you know how many backpacks you have from Young Living Conventions? Right? It doesn't have to be this big thing, okay? It just needs to be, it can be a shoulder bag. It can be anything, but anything you have in it will be really helpful if you have to walk out the door in a hurry. Next slide. Okay. So here's some questions I want you to think about as we get into looking at some products. Do you live near woods? Could you and your family need to deal with ticks, Lyme disease? Am I prepared to handle that? What kind of products would I need? Do you have a wood pile? Do you live in the South? Spiders. How many of you love spiders? My hand's not going up. We had a huge snake in our windowsill today. Okay. Thank goodness most of them are not venomous, but I'm not getting close enough to check. Okay. Do you live on a floodplain? And I put this in the notes, guys. We don't. But when our house was surveyed and, when you're buying it, they built it 6 inches lower than they should have. We're not on a floodplain, but our basement is lower. Okay. So we found out that homeowners insurance does not cover flooding. So we have flood insurance. I was sharing with Beth earlier today, and both of us found out how inexpensive earthquake insurance is. And we both have earthquakes. And if you know, there have been known to be earthquakes in the Midwest. Okay. How about forest fires? Many of you know, my sister used to live in California, and she had to evacuate during a forest fire. And literally, Dale got online to direct her because so many roads were blocked off. Okay. Because she had to drive and all the roads were blocked off. So something to think about. How about what would you have on hand for respiratory support? I'm asking a lot of questions because if you will take your number one issue, doesn't matter what it is, and if you will put an action plan to work towards solving that in any unexpected event, you will have such a peace. Truly. I don't know who will get my kids. Figure it out. Okay. I don't know where we'll go. Figure that one thing out, not 20 things. And there will be such a peace. And little things will come together when you need to do it, when you need to do it. Okay. So next, let's talk about some products and that. So I have, and I wanted to share with you guys, you see a picture of it. but here it is, okay? And if you're wondering what that looks like, it is an old gun case. That's what that black box is, okay? It's padded on both sides. I just cut some squares out in the foam and I put some different products, okay? Now, there is some more things in it than when I took the picture, okay? Like I have veggie capsules, but I wanted to say to you guys, this reason it's in this type of a box is because when I first put this together, we did drills with our kids, and I was absolutely horrified how my kids threw things in the vehicle. And these are my oil. Like, I did not want a 15 ml bottle to break, okay? But any type of box, I like this. It's an easy handle. And honestly, if I had to toss it into the vehicle, it's going to be okay. So what I wanted to say to you is if you had to evacuate because of a train derailment, and guys, there's been a few over the last couple of months, what would your grab and go look like? Okay, next slide. So this is one of mine. And then this, as it's all falling out, this is my next one. Okay. And yes, I have a little first aid booklet. Okay. I have a list of what my oils are, some Band-Aids, a cloth in case I need it to cover a wound. So between this small bag and that black box I just showed you, if I weren't able to grab anything else, I would have a lot of confidence that no matter what would come up, I could find something between these two to take care of situations that might come up. Now, my oils in this bag are different than my oils in this box, okay? And that will vary per person what you would prioritize. I am going to give you a link to the first aid guide booklet if you're interested. Our next slide, we're going to talk about some specific oils that are in my case, okay? So here are some oils. I'm not going to pull them up for this video. I'm just going to kind of talk to you guys about them, okay? All of these are 15 ml size bottles, which is this size, okay? I want you to think, as I'm reading this list, I want you guys to think what would be your, okay? I've got 6 15 mils on this list right in front of you. What would be your top 15 ml bottles, okay? So let's go, Cypress. And if you haven't tried these, I really want to encourage you to maybe pull out your resource book, look into it, read it, find out why maybe we chose these ones. Cypress, circulation, fluid retention, pain. Geranium, bleeding, bruising, and it's great to keep mosquitoes away. I want to tell you, my first experience with geranium was when my boys weren't fighting, but somehow one's head, my youngest son's head, busted open and it was bleeding everywhere. There's other oils. I could have used lavender. I could have used helichrysum. I chose geranium. Oh my gosh. It's my number one go-to oil for bleeding. It stopped it. I did not put it right in the wound. I just put it all around. And then I held a compress over it. Okay. Lavenders. Okay. Guys, this is just standard Swiss Army knife. I use lavender whether it's recommended or not. Lemon. Okay. Whether it's throat, alkaline, so many things for lemon. Okay. Lemongrass. Lemongrass is great for parasites. This is something I work on. Ligaments and sprains. My first, like, what does lemongrass do? And I remember being told ligaments and lemongrass. It can be a hot oil. That means you might want some olive oil. In my black case here, I have a small roller bottle of olive oil. Okay. And then Melrose. Scrapes, bruises, cuts, whatever. Okay. So that would be basic. And then page 2 is some more oil and myrtle. Myrtle is an oil that could be used on a younger child if somebody didn't want to use eucalyptus. I absolutely love myrtle. Myrtle's great for your thyroid. I put it over my thyroid almost daily. Peace and calming. Some people might put stress away, but have an oil that takes you down, because in an unexpected event, you need to think clearly. So is it clarity for you? Is it peace and calming for you? Is it stress away? Is it sorrow? Whatever it is. Peppermint, okay? This is the only oil that I have peppermint in both my cases, okay? So one in my red bag and one in my black box. These, everything related to supporting your immune system. I've been using thieves all day long. Thieves lozenges, because I hope you can't hear it real well, but my nose has been running and I have a little bit of drainage in the throat. Guys, thieves everything. My bonus oil is RC. I would be curious when we end this recording, tell me what your bonus oil would be, okay? I love RC, and so it was kind of my bonus. Again, this is an emergency. I've got to get out the door and I've got 5 to 15 minutes and I got to walk out. Would I grab more oils if I could? Absolutely. But this is the basic. So what would be your basic? Here are my bonus products that I have to have, and they're actually behind me on my shoulder, over my shoulder, is Thieves mouthwash and toothpaste. Okay. If you've ever had a toothache, you cut your lip, you were nervous, whatever, you want to make sure that you are able to disinfect, and a lot of junk can come through our nose and nasals into our throat. So those two are a must. Thieves household cleaner, more than one bottle. Okay, but I even mark it, guys. I think, yeah, you'll get a kick. It says unopened. Okay, I'm going the wrong way. Unopened. Okay, because I still want to make sure that I'm not grabbing a bottle that is half full. Okay, Animal Sense ointment. Have you guys ever heard of liquid bandage? Animal Sense ointment. When my son busted his head open, okay, and after geranium oil stopped the bleeding. Now, how do you put a Band-Aid over somebody's hair? Don't. I took Animal Sense ointment and I rubbed it all over. His hair was greasy. That was it. It opened again, put some geranium oil, like hours later, 4, 5, 6 hours later, put geranium oil, more Animal Sense ointment on the back of his head. Never went into urgent care. Okay, made a believer out of me. And in an event, your body's going to be really stressed. Okay, doesn't matter what it is. Your Thieves cough drops and or lozenges would be really good for your throat and to really support your immune system. Okay, and then our last page, I'm flipping, is the our sense of preparedness. I want you guys to know I love doing these classes because we're building community. We're here for one another. Nobody knows it all. Nobody's got it all. And every time we're teaching an educational class, we are giving you tools and skills for you to be able to use to bless your family, bless your neighbors, bless your community. Okay? All of us have a community, whether it's church, our neighbors, local family, but we're also a community here. And it's so important to stay connected. So we love seeing you on Thursday night. Preparedness is, remember, guys, no matter what we're faced, we're going to face it together. We can adapt and we are resilient. Okay? We'll figure it out. None of us knows it all, but there will be somebody who will know somebody, and we'll do our very best to always help. And I would be absolutely remiss to say in preparedness, there is always hope through prayer. And we are always here to pray with you guys and to love you, even if it's from afar. We're only a phone call away. Okay. So remember these key things as we go, no matter what we face. It doesn't matter when we have an unexpected event. And I want to say an unexpected event can be happening to just you personally, or it could be happening in our nation. But it doesn't matter if it's personal or if it's a certain part of the country. We're there for each other. Okay. And then the last thing is I want to say a couple of conclusions. I need my screen. Yeah, there we go. So, tips to learn. Choose today to learn one new skill. Doesn't matter what it is. If you've never made cornbread in a cast iron pan and you want to learn how to do it, send me a note, because guess what? I have learned how to do that. Okay? Now I'm in my 60s before I learned how to do that, but I had never learned how to make, like I'm talking about grinding up kernels of corn. I'd never done that. And did we ruin some loaf? Yeah. And cornbread's really good with maple butter. If you haven't made maple butter, I can tell you how to do that. So whatever that is, but guys, print it off. Because guess what? We made several loaves of cornbread, found out which recipe we liked, forgot to write it down. And then our neighbors came over and asked us for our recipe. We didn't write it down because you tweak it. So write it down, print it off, a couple of things. If you're not sure, like, okay, if I have to leave the house quickly, here's 3 things. It's written on a sheet of paper and it's in the cupboard. I just go over there and I go grab it. Okay. Build community, guys. Showing up every Thursday night, we get to know each other. We get to know each other's families and connect. Take time to build, get to know your neighbors. Most of them are probably pretty nice. Okay. And realize, guys, we can adjust to an unexpected event. We've all experienced it. Some are harder than others, but we do adjust to it. So I don't ever want you to be hopeless. I want you to be filled with hope, because we're here for each other. And at the bottom, I wrote, we are family. We're learning together. We're there for one another. Okay. And I thank you for your time tonight. We can stop the recording, and I'm here to answer any